It's my turn now, yo big brother, make sure to receive it properly, okay? Otherwise, you will die, hee hee. Advertisements. Lilith formed a fist with her right hand and swung it abruptly. Her small fist hit the humongous fist of the deep-sea giant. To describe that action with an analogy, it was like dropping a small pebble into a still lake. However, contrary to expectation, that small pebble was able to stir up huge waves. Starting from the point of intersection, the wind's whistle spread in all directions and swept away all the shattered rocks around Lilith's foot. Crack! The sound of the bone fracture reverberated clearly amidst the whistle of the wind. The deep-sea giant's arm looked like a sugar cane which had been squeezed from both ends, the skin split open and blood kept squirting out from the muscle tissues. Roar! The giant let out an alarmed cry. His left arm bounced back from the terrifying force, causing him to lose balance and fell backward. As the deep-sea giant fell onto the ground, clouds of dust rose from the ground. His huge body wasn't able to give him the slightest bit of security. He didn't dare to stand up anymore and just crawled backward in that position. He was so frightened that his only thought was to get away from the demon before him. Roar, roar. He growled in a menacing nature, yet it gave people the impression of a crippled dog whimpering at the lion who snatched its food. Ha! Lilith took 2 steps forward in extreme delight. Are you begging for forgiveness? Ha ha, that's so pleasant to hear. Keep it up, just keep whimpering, ha ha ha. Roar, squeal, the deep-sea giant let out a whimper obediently, as though begging for forgiveness. That's it. That sounds so good. The irritation in my heart is quickly dissipating. Lilith spread out her arms and hugged the air like she was really enjoying it. However, Lilith suddenly tilted her head. Didn't you sneer at me earlier, you insect? Advertisements, did you? Did you? Did you? Lilith repeated those words like a madman, then she leaned forward and said with a sweet smile, for a mere insect to sneer at me, your judgment is death. Roar. The deep-sea giant regained his ferocity because he had finally realized, this demon only wanted him dead. He instinctively chose to strike first to gain the upper hand. As soon as he turned around and sprang up from the ground, he attacked with his remaining left hand, but too slow. Lilith revealed a slight smile and lightly tapped on the ground with the sole of her foot. Web-like cracks instantly spread over tens of meters on the ground before it sunk. The tremendous counterforce caused Lilith's speed to break through the speed of sound instantly. In a split second, she got in front of the deep-sea giant along with the sound of a sonic boom. I hate being laughed upon by others. Every time other people made fun of me, I really wanted to punch them. Just like this. Pow! Lilith punched the deep-sea giant's cheek. Not only did his jaw get dislocated, but his head and torso pulled a complete 180. This chapter is provided to you by Relibrary. Please visit Relibrary to show the translators your appreciation and stop supporting the content thief. Advertisements. The giant created an incredible arc in the air before falling flat on his stomach. He lay splayed out lifelessly, his jaw shattered to bits leaving some muscle hanging around, every bit looking as terrifying as the zombies depicted in movies. However, Lilith completely ignored that fact and performed a perfect landing. Then she moved to the side of the giant's head. Ignoring the giant's blood-drenched appearance, she kicked his head and said, "Get up. Get up. Get up, I say. Are you done already?" The princess still haven't had enough tisk. How weak, as expected of an ant. Fennis, who had been watching Lilith's brutal act all along, swallowed hard and said with a shudder, the princess has gone crazy. It's pretty normal for a dragon's nature to be affected by their lifeblood, isn't it? The queen answered with a blank face, but no one knew what she was thinking under that mask of indifference and pride. Indeed, dragons may become bloodthirsty and ruthless due to the lifeblood, but that's within a controllable range. The princess, on the other hand, has become a completely different person. Perhaps, it's due to the great ancestor's blood essence. Blood essence? How could that be? And besides, there's no reason for the great ancestor to double-cross his descendant. Fennis turned her head and asked in puzzlement. After all, the great ancestor was the originator of the dragons. There's no reason for him to harm the later generations. There is no problem with the blood essence. On the contrary, I feel that the effect is too powerful. Her strength level completely exceeded what a few drops of blood essence could grant. How powerful do you think my daughter's 2 earlier punches were? How powerful? Fennis recalled the 2 punches that killed the deep-sea giant, perhaps around the level of a dragon who just reached adulthood. That's right, early adulthood phase. The queen turned to look at Fennis and continued, but my daughter has only been born for a day. Even if she had stayed in the eggs for 20 years, she's still considered an infant as per a dragon's lifespan. Fennis finally understood, and yet this infant has displayed the strength of an adult. An infant with the strength of an adult, that's impossible regardless of how much talent one possessed. Unless the ancestor's blood essence has granted my daughter with excess strength. However, that also caused the defect in dragon blood to strengthen multiple folds. That's why she has become like this. The queen finished her speech and turned to see Lilith still kicking the giant's head. Then what do we do now? What else can we do other than wait? Once Lilith has gained dominance over the blood essence, she shouldn't become like this anymore. Although her tone was calm, the queen was clearly disturbed. She only hatched after 20 years, born with incredible power, yet possessed the flaw of being unable to transform, nor could she understand the dragon language despite having the dragon blood. And in addition to how she got out of control right now, it felt like someone was manipulating her from behind, attempting to turn her into their puppet. No matter who it is, if they dare to touch my daughter, I will chop off their claws. 2 Nobody is allowed to harm my daughter. Nobody. All right, it's time to let her rest. The queen silently flew behind Lilith and called her with an extremely tender voice, "Dear daughter." Advertisements. Lilith stopped her action and turned around to look at the queen, who was clearly the most important person to her in this world, yet her eyes were as cold as if she was looking at a stranger. Ignoring her cold glare and her resistance, the queen took 2 steps forward and pulled Lilith into her embrace. MMPH, Lilith kept struggling but found that she was unable to shake free from the embrace. No. The queen gently caressed Lilith's head. It's okay, just withdraw your lifeblood force, the enemy is already gone. No. Lilith continued to struggle, but she eventually calmed down a bit, even her voice becoming soft and low. In the end, all movements ceased and her hands dropped powerlessly. She became completely silent. 3 The queen looked at the motionless Lilith in her arms with suspicion. Why did she stop moving? Did she fall asleep? Fennis, who just arrived at the side, suddenly said with a pale face, my queen, did you choke the princess until she fainted?